something that sometimes happens. That decision, and I do not allow it in my courtroom in that way. I just don't, and never have. And those decisions as to that contact, I leave with the sheriff's department and our detention center. So I'm not going to allow it. I certainly understand, but I'm not going to do it.
Yes, Your Honor.
With reference to how folks are going to exit the courtroom, how did you wanted this side to go? All right, so what I'm going to ask is that I'm going to allow those to go out with the victim's advocate. Those that are on this side, I'd ask you to please wait. I'm not picking sides and doing that. I'm just trying to get everybody out of here in an orderly fashion.
Vehicle, I then entered a neighborhood just north of his location. Slowly responded to where he was and attempted to see if anybody was going to cross the street, move through a backyard.
And what did you observe?
From Creek Drive, Redwood and Creek down to Officer Gilby, I did not see anybody. And then I arrived on the scene where Officer Gilby was with the suspect vehicle, his patrol vehicle, and he has one subject in custody.
And from there, having seen one subject in custody, what did you do next?
I asked Officer Gilby for a description of the other suspects, which time he told me it was a black male wearing gray and black. He had fled northeast.
Okay. And based on that information, what did you do?
So knowing the area, the size of the neighborhood and the streets, I responded to Creek Drive and I believe it was, corner of Creek and LaFair, that general area. It's my belief that somebody on foot, the time period that they may not have gotten that far. So I set up a perimeter northeast of Officer Gilby's location.
And then from where you were located at that time, what did you do or what did you observe?
So it's directing traffic away from the area south of me. The Washington County Sheriff's Office advised they had another subject in custody west of Platte Road, was armed with a firearm. That one thought the suspect would potentially be in custody, still standing there. I observed a black male in all black running from one side of the street to the other.
And based on that, what did you do?
I responded, I got my patrol vehicle, drove south towards that subject's location. I saw him crossing the street. I believe it is a Korean Bible church, like through that parking lot. Pulled into the parking lot, observed him jumping fences, going southbound into the backyard of other neighborhoods or other homes.
Now, you had testified that you were told that the other subject was a black male wearing black and gray, correct?
Yes.
And you also said that you had heard that someone else had been apprehended, so you thought that maybe the person that Officer Gilby had said run off, correct? So what made you pursue this person that you saw?
Based on the circumstances that were taking place through the incident, and in my experience and training, it's not normal for somebody to be running across the street and fleeing a police car.
Now, when you say fleeing a police car when they came towards them, are you referring to your police car? Did you observe that subject look at you?
Yes.
So describe for the court what you saw.
So I was in the Korean Bible Church parking lot. He was jumping a fence, going south, looking back towards me. I could see that he had a cell phone in his hand. I could see like the screen illuminated on the cell phone. And then he continued jumping fences, looking back towards me. At that point, I pulled back out.
So you want to say something, Judge?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. So your testimony is that you saw that subject look back at you several times while running away. Okay. And from there, what did you do next?
Based on his location, like that he was running southbound, kind of parallel his direction of travel all the way down to Lorraine. And then my thought in my head was that he was going to cross into another backyard to continue going eastbound. So I pulled on to LaSalle and then set up a perimeter on LaSalle. And just held that.
When you say cross, are you referring to cross Lorraine Street that you were on, or?
So my belief was that is I continued southbound. He was going to continue eastbound. So I had to go down to Lorraine to then come back north on LaSalle, which was that street behind where I saw him.
Thank you. And then having done that, what happened next?
So I held that perimeter kind of like the crest of the hill, so I could see to my left, south to Lorraine, and then I could see to my right, north to Fair Street. So I held that as other police officers held that general area. They conducted a canine track. While standing there, I heard MSP Lawnet advise that they observed subjects near the fair. As I looked to my north, I saw the same subject from earlier who had been jumping fences, try to come out onto LaSalle, looked like he observed me, and went back westbound into a residence.
And what did you do after that?
Got back in my patrol car, drove north towards that location, at which time I saw him driving through a backyard. I exited my patrol vehicle. I don't recall what the address is down the south. Pursued him on foot, and then I ordered him to the ground a gunpoint, at which time he complied.
Did you say anything to him before he complied?
I think I said, I don't know the exact words, it was like police having stopped, something like that.
And when you said that, did he stop immediately or did he keep running?
I believe it was on the second command is when he stopped running.
So initially you said stop police in some format and he continued to run.
Yes.
After he stopped, what happened after that?
So I held him at gunpoint as he was on the ground. At that time, Officer Stanky from Ann Arbor PD came through the wood line and called out the address of where it was. Held him at gunpoint while Officer Stanky placed him in handcuffs.
And you said you held him at gunpoint. How far away from him were you at that time?
Initially, I believe I was probably from me to maybe the wooden divider. And then as Officer Stanky arrived, kind of converged together and held a gunpoint from me to the front of like halfway between us, maybe.
For the record, could you estimate those distances?
I would assume that I held him at gunpoint while he was being handcuffed at about 5.5 feet.
Okay. And what was his position on the ground?
I believe he was face down, prone out, with his arms to the side.
Okay. And did you, after he, let me take that back. What was he wearing when you, when he was taken into custody?
It was a black t-shirt, black pants, dark colored socks, no shoes.
No shoes? Do you see the person you took into custody on that date in the courtroom today? Could you identify them by something that they're wearing and their location?
To my left, seated at the table, wearing a green top and white undershirt.
And that's a record to reflect the in-court identification of defendant Jones.
Was that objection record show so reflect?
And if I could have just a moment. I have no further questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
No questions for us. Thank you.
Cross-examination. No questions. All right. Okay, thank you. Call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People would call Officer Michael Stanky.
Sir, please come forward to be sworn.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please spell his first and last name for the record, please.
First name Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L. Last name is Stanky, S-T-A-N-K-E-Y.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Officer Stanky, are you currently employed? And where are you employed? And what do you do there? How long have you been a patrol officer for the city of Ann Arbor? And were you so employed and on duty on September 26, 2025 at approximately 1:15 in the afternoon?
Oh,
And what were your duties at that time?
at that time, I was just on general patrol in the area, about Huron Street and South State Street.
And while you were doing those duties, what, if anything, happened?
I heard radio traffic. It sounded like somebody saying there were shots fired in the area that packed flat. I then proceeded to drive down.
And where did you go and what happened?
Initially, I drove to the area just north of Packard, near Platt, near that intersection, and sort of some neighborhoods in that area. I then got better information about where suspects might be running, and so I went south of Packard, began to search the area south of that.
And the information that you got was to go to that area? Okay. And then when you went to that area, what happened?
I began walking through the streets looking for the suspects, identified as a black male wearing black. We were getting various phone calls from citizens saying that they were seeing somebody jump fences or run big yards, that sort of thing. So we were kind of just shifting where we were looking. I found myself in the area of LaSalle Drive and Fair Street at one point.
And when you say that people were looking for a black male wearing black, was that was coming through on the radio?
I believe so. Yes, we already got the suspects.
Yes.
I mean, if he's not shooting it for the truth of the matter, sir, it doesn't.
I'm not. Just from what he was basing it on.
He's going to his state of mind.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And so you were hearing this on the radio, getting descriptions of who you were looking of, the person of interest.
Correct.
And you don't know where that information is coming from or who's saying it.
No, not exactly.
Okay. All right. So from there, where did you go? What did you do?
I was walking the area. I was walking on Fair Street, eastbound, approaching LaSalle Drive. I then heard an officer on the radio that he had a suspect in front of him, that they began running southbound on LaSalle Drive. They were black male wearing black. I believe that this officer said that I didn't ran to LaSalle Drive to try and intercept.
And what happened then?
I observed them go south on LaSalle Drive, take a right to go west to a yard there.
I'm going to stop you real quick. When you said I observed them, could you specify to whom you're referring?
I observed a male run through the yard and then a police officer.
And the male that you observed, could you describe what that person looked like, what they were wearing?
I just saw a black man wearing black.
Okay. Please continue. And so you saw them running, and then what did you do?
I doubled back, crossed through the backyard of another address, trying to intercept them, and then approached when I heard on the radio. Corporal Maxine say that he had a male at gunpoint on the ground. I approached the backyard where they were. I saw Corporal Maxie at gunpoint with a black male thrown out on the ground.
When you, at any time prior to that, observing this black male, did you say anything to him or shout anything?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And on that date and time, were you in full uniform?
No.
And did that include a body-worn camera?
Yes.
And was that body-worn camera in working order? And you know how to operate that body-worn camera?
Yes.
And the footage from that date and time was retained, and that's loaded onto a server and kept there. Okay. Your Honor, at this point, I would like to show what I have marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 3. Good. At what point in this incident did your body cam start recording?
Most likely when I first activated my overhead lights on Huron Street near State Street and began driving down there.
And about how long before that, about how much time do you think elapsed before you actually caught the individual you described?
Probably 20, 30 minutes.
I am, if I could get the image up on the screen, please.
be plugged in.
It is when my computer decided now is the time to log me out. There we go. Thank you. Looking at the TV screens here in the courtroom, do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's a front yard just south of Bear Street on the south road. It's where I saw the police officer and the suspect run.
I have this video currently timestamped at 34 minutes and 12 seconds. And I'm going to play that now.
It's not my arm is here.
First of all, does that video that we just watched, does that truly and accurately depict what you observed on that date and time?
Yes.
Now, I would move for the admission of People's Exhibit number 3.
Any objection of order?
I don't think it applies to Mr. Smith, but I have no objection to it.
No. Exhibit 3 is in there.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Stanky, the person that you put handcuffs on there, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
I do see that the table to my left, he's wearing a green Washington County Jail shirt and a long white sleeve button shirt.
Your Honor, I'd ask the record reflect the in-court identification of Defendant Jones.
That objection record shows so reflect.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you describe for the court what Mr. Jones was wearing when you took him into custody?
Wearing a black shirt and black pants.
Was he wearing shoes?
I do not recall.
Can you see his foot on the video there?
I do.
Does it appear in that video to you that he's wearing shoes?
No, just what looks like socks.
Can I pick it up just a moment?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
All right, very good. Cross-examination.
No cross for us, thank you.
Cross-examination. None? Thank you, sir. You may step down. Call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People would call Sergeant Kristen Beard.
His last name for the record.
It's Kristen Beard, Kristn, Beard, B-A-R.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Beard, are you currently employed?
And
And where are you employed?
it's a
And what do you do for Pittsfield Township? And how long have you been a police officer with Pittsfield Township?
almost 24 years.
And were you so employed and on duty on September 26th at about 1:15 in the afternoon? And what was the nature of your duties at that time?
I was running
And where were you located around that time?
and on Carpenter Road in Packard.
And while you were at Carpenter Road and Packard at about that time, what, if anything, happened?
I started hearing Officer Gilby radio that he was in pursuit with subjects in an armed vehicle.
And based on that information, what did you do?
Respond towards
And where did you go?
Packard Road in Platt.
And when you got to Packard Road and Platt, what did you observe?
I driven what looked like a man down the south side of the road, black man.
When you say on the south side of the road, could you explain for the court exactly where you observed this person?
He was laying near the sidewalk from 3012 Packard Road.
And when you say, was he on the sidewalk?
I'm near, that's my reflection, he was down on the ground, leaning like his face.
And that being the sidewalk close to Packard Road. And so based on what you observed there, what did you do?
I got up, rendered aid, trying to stop him bleeding. I couldn't find a bullet hole initially. There was a lot of blood coming out of his mouth and his head. I had a bullet on one of his left shoulder. back to social.
And what aid did you attempt to provide?
Stopping the bleeding, putting gauze pad, things of that nature.
And were you able to identify the person that you were providing aid to?
There was another witness there that identified them as Lamar Thomas.
And from there, what did you do?
I just turned him over to HVA. There was also there was a handgun near him. I'm sure to secure that.
Let me slow you down real quick. With regard to HVA, approximately how long were you on scene with Mr. Thomas before HVA arrived?
I would guess 6 to 7 minutes.
Okay. And when, upon your arrival, did you observe the handgun?
Immediately, that's the first thing I did was confiscate the handgun.
And once you confiscated the handgun, you provided aid? Okay. When you arrived on the scene, Mr. Thomas was already prone on the ground?
He was.
Okay. Did you observe him handle the firearm?
He was not, he never touched it. His current medical state was, it was just next to him. I believe it's his right arm.
Okay. Was he conscious at the time?
Yeah.
And once HVA arrived, what did you do?
I just assisted officers in canvassing the scene for bullets, potential evidence.
What did you do with the firearm that you secured?
It was placed in a bag and turned over to Officer Summer Dyer, who put that in my patrol car.
Your Honor, could I have a moment?
You may.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Can I approach and collect the exhibits we'd introduced, Your Honor?
Yes.
There was nothing to say here that they met the element of proven identification that Mr. Jones performed the shooting. The second part I would like to say, Judge, not only was he I almost want to say you have to show identification. And you have to rely on the evidence of the testimony that came. And if someone would have came and said, that's Mr. Jones in the gray shirt, I would make my argument. But no one said that. If there was some fingerprints, some ballistics or something of that nature saying it was Mr. Jones, then I would have to argue that. Furthermore, Judge, whoever that individual, just for the sake of argument, murder is an intentional crime. And I'm not going to belabor the issue of that. It's undisputed that a vehicle was shot up, whoever that third person was, because as I said, I was always informed there was 3 suspects. Well, whichever the third individual was, 2 guns was already out there shooting before that third person even got involved. And shots were being fired in that third individual's direction. I let Your Honor make your own analysis on that one. Judge, I understand what you're saying about whoever it was and self-defense and things of that nature. But Judge, we just can't get beyond the point that no one took the stand and said, Mr. Jones was driving a car, fleeing and eluding, and I seen him driving that car. So when it comes to the fleeing and eluding charge, no one said he was driving. Resisting obstruction of an officer, prosecutor did a great job of trying to rehabilitate it, but the officer said, I said to stop. And then I said to stop, and he voluntarily stopped. They didn't, he was hopping fences before the officers even came into the picture. So it wasn't like he was hopping fences disobeying the officer. He was hopping fences before they got there. They yelled at him twice, he voluntarily stopped. So I don't believe there's no resisting, obstructing of justice or assaulting and resisting obstruction. Judge, I appreciate your time as always, and I would like to say But Judge, I just don't know how you're gonna get past identification. It's not there.
Thank you, Your Honor. With regard to identification, court saw the video. Court views the video, particularly the Bake World video. You have a really good look at the person in the gray sweatshirt, black pants, wearing flip-flops. We have testimony from Officer Gilby saying he observed those two people in that video get into the red Malibu, chases that red Malibu, the red Malibu crashes. There, Officer Gilby arrests Mr. Smith. We see on the video, person who's the driver running away. Same person we see in the Bake World video. That is Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is later taken into custody by Corporal Maxey. He's identified by Corporal Maxey, by Officer Stanky, by Detective McDonough here today as the person that was arrested there. Now, yes, he's no longer wearing the gray sweatshirt. He's wearing a black t-shirt. However, two important facts I would point out regarding his apparel. First of all, the flip-flops. He's wearing flip-flops at the time of the shooting, and then he takes off running. Now he's arrested in socks. Interesting coincidence. Additionally, if the court reviews the video, the pants he's wearing are distinctive. They're not just distinct black pants. They're black pants with some sort of material. You can see that very, very clearly in Stanky's body cam video. You can see it clearly in the Bake World video. Additionally, his ID is found in the getaway vehicle, in the Malibu. So all of those things tie him directly to that. So I think that is sufficient, particularly for a probable cause standard, to establish identity, establish that he is the person there in the Bake World video and the Bombay video, firing shots out into the neighborhood. Both defendants are on video shooting at the victim in the case. The victim is murdered by a gunshot wound. People have met its burden with regard to the murder charge as well as all of the attendant counts that go along with that. We would move the court to find over on all counts.
The court is listening very closely to the testimony in this case, and I share in that view that of sitting here watching, regardless of how this ultimately plays out, of these young lives. It particularly is somewhat distressing, if I take a matter of personal privilege, not having anything to do with the court's decision in the case, that I watch these young people that look a lot like me, and they end up in this situation. It's horrible. It's also interesting, as everybody's discussing the neighborhood in this scene, I grew up around there. So I know exactly where everybody is as they're going through the whole thing, and what they're doing in terms of where they're going and the like. Just say that as a preface to this, because this whole thing is just, it's sad to watch. It's sad to watch a young man come out of walking down the street someplace and then pull out weapons that are modified to go from semi-automatic to automatic weapons, just indiscriminately firing in an area where at any given point in time, that area, there are just a whole lot of folks just going around, either trying to get pizza, go to the one of the Asian stores that are down that way, quite frankly, go down to the library, which is a little bit further down, just indiscriminately shooting. It quite frankly, it's tragic enough that one lost their lives. It's, I guess, in some bizarre way, fortunate that there weren't more lives lost. With respect to the proofs in this case, start with the ones that were the court, from the court standpoint in terms of testimony, are as to Mr. Smith on counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and as to Mr. Jones on counts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On those, I don't think there's any dispute that the people have shown by a preponderance of the evidence that those offenses have been committed and that this defendant did. The one issue with regard to the homicide that is raised by Mr. Jones' counsel could be significant if one doesn't look closely at the videos. Mr. Overwater, I think, is correct. That is, when you look at the video real close and you see the individual, you see the pants. I didn't need to know the brand of the shoe. I knew that those shoes were not ones that would stay on. And then the individual, Mr. Jones, is found going through a neighborhood over fences, ends up with no shoes, just socks. And at some point, somewhere, I would suspect shed that the white sweat or white hoodie or gray hoodie, so that he's dressed in the fashion that he's dressed in at that time. But those pants were distinctive. It was interesting that I was going to bring it up and go into it in a lot more detail. But I think when you look at those pants, it's real clear that that's him. That's him that's in front. You also look at some of the facial features that you can see, and it was clear to me that it was Mr. Jones. To any extent that one wants to argue it, I would dare say that in essence will maybe raise an issue of material fact that has to be decided by a finder of fact. But this court is convinced that that was Mr. Jones at that scene. That was Mr. Jones firing that weapon. And I don't think it matters, for the sake of bind over, that I attribute that bullet to, particularly bind over an open murder for these individuals, that I attribute these to which gun, which firearm, which defendant it was fired. At some point when they started acting, they were acting in concert with each other because they were both firing, both unloading a large number of bullets into that strip mall, and then jointly both got into that vehicle and drove off. I think the record also shows that one could infer that it was Mr. Jones, as his identification, his items of ownership, as well as a weapon, are all found in that vehicle that crashed on Lorraine Street. So for those reasons, and so that we're clear, as to Mr. Smith, I don't think there's any issue as to identification. I mean, he's clear as a bell the moment he's climbing to the top of that officer's vehicle trying to get away. That's him. So for those reasons, the court would find that the people have indeed sustained their burden of proof in this case. And so that the record is clear as to Mr. Omar Smith, I would bind the defendant over to stand trial on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, taking into account all of the information and evidence presented during the course of this preliminary examination. And likewise on Mr. Jamal Jones' case, if that goes off one more time, I'm taking it. On Mr. Jamal Jones' case, I would bind the defendant over to stand trial on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, based upon what the court has said during the course of its rendering of its decision, and the court also indicating that they have taken into account all of the evidence which has been adduced. Therefore, the defendant are bound over to stand trial. As to the circuit court arraignment, gentlemen, you wait for a reading of the complaint or the information.
Yes,
And how does your client plead?
not guilty.
Defendants, having waived formal reading, pleading not guilty to all counts, court will enter that not guilty plea. Pretrial in these matters will we set for?
April 6th at 1:30 for Judge Wu.
April 6, 2026, 1:30, before Judge Hammoud. Bond in each case will continue as tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've been asked, oh, I'm sorry.
Got it. We'll get that in a moment. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I was presented with, someone suggested to me that there may be some precedent for a juvenile like Mr. Smith to be able to hug his family. I don't know if that's the case or not, but someone suggested that there was some precedent for that, and I
don't know what kind of precedent you might be speaking of. As
legal, just sounds like that's
something that sometimes happens. That decision, and I do not allow it in my courtroom in that way. I just don't, and never have. And those decisions as to that contact, I leave with the sheriff's department and our detention center. So I'm not going to allow it. I certainly understand it, but I'm not going to do it.
Yes, Ron.
All right. With reference to how folks are going to exit the courtroom, how did you wanted this side to go? All right. So what I'm going to ask is that I'm going to allow those to go out with the victim's advocate. Those that are on this side, I'd ask you to please wait. I'm not picking sides and doing that. I'm just trying to get everybody out of here in an orderly fashion. Thank you.
And Your Honor, as
Yes,
to
sir.
exhibits, do they stay with the file, or do we take them?
I will, I will return them to the respective parties.
I approach?
Yes. The people's exhibit is this one, and I think those belong to defense.
Oh, these are mine. Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone have a good day. Yes.
On September 26, 2025, gunshots rang out near Packard and Carpenter Road. Two young men are accused of opening fire near a strip mall, sending bullets into a busy neighborhood. Police quickly identified a red Chevy Malibu fleeing the scene. After a short chase, the vehicle crashed. One suspect was immediately taken into custody, while the second suspect ran through nearby neighborhoods, jumping fences and trying to escape. Officers described the fleeing suspect as a black male dressed in black. Body camera footage showed him running, repeatedly looking back at pursuing officers. When he was finally apprehended, he was wearing only socks, despite earlier footage showing flip-flops. Prosecutors argued this detail, along with distinctive black pants and his ID found inside the getaway vehicle, tied him directly to the shooting. The defense argued there was no direct testimony placing Mr. Jones behind the wheel or definitively identifying him as the shooter. They challenged the strength of the identification evidence. But the judge carefully reviewed the body cam footage and stated that the clothing, facial features, and circumstances clearly identified Mr. Jones as one of the shooters. The court concluded that both defendants acted together, firing multiple rounds before fleeing in the same vehicle. The judge ruled that the prosecution met its burden of proof at this stage. Both defendants were bound over for trial on open murder and multiple related charges. Each entered a plea of not guilty. The case now moves forward to circuit court.